perfect way to end a game like that when you're in a stalemate leading up to 21. And I think we're actually going to jump straight into our first pro division matchup. I heard it's going to be Anchored LI playing against Schweppes, two great teams. And this is actually game 3, so they've gone 1-1 in the series. It's going to be a big one.
This is huge, actually, and it was an anticipated matchup from the get-go. These are two phenomenal teams that got paired up in their pool. We are going into game 3, which means there is a lot potentially riding on this as far as seeding goes from pool play. I liked Anchored LI on paper, but I think they had a very close game 2, and really, it's Roundnet's a momentum game. This could be anybody.
It is, and I actually just got word that game 2, Anchored was actually down at 19-20, and they got 2 aces to come back and win that match, which got them a game 3. So they might be counting their blessings to even be here.
Absolutely, that is favorable. You could tell they're fighting as hard as possible. Anchored LI, 2 phenomenal players that have their own backgrounds in the competitive Roundnet scene up until last year, grouped up, and they have done a phenomenal job this year. Absolutely, this game 3 is going to be pretty crucial for them, and I think if I know Fitz, he's not going down without a fight.
No, he's known. We've been fortunate to be getting some pretty sweet highlights on ESPN and the likes, Sports Center, what have you, and he's usually one of those players that's in those highlights because he's just known for running down balls and great rallies.
Yeah, his defensive prowess is something that probably puts him leaps and bounds above maybe not just the bottom half of the pro division as far as our seats have displayed for us, but you ask what it takes to be a pro above a premier player, and it's those 1 or 2 points a game consistently where you can track one down and steal a break back on an incredible defensive play. And if you watch SportsCenter enough, you've seen him do it.
Yeah, and I think he actually has a soccer background, which really helps the footwork. And there's always that long-standing debate of what sport translates the best over to Roundnet, and I don't think it's been decided. I don't think it ever will, but him being a soccer player is one for that bucket.
We've definitely heard our fair share of tennis. We've definitely heard our fair share of soccer.
I've even heard ping pong, you know, that it's that hand motion, that quick twitch.
Absolutely. You'd think volleyball would be the #1 answer, but everyone wants to swing from up high, and as you've seen in a lot of these competitive matches, the lower you hit the ball, the further it goes and the harder it is to chase down at that angle. So we're getting right into this thing. We're 1-1, feeling out this showcase court. We had 2 serves into the rim. Schweppes back, great on the right hand. Good first pass and running by the drop shot back towards himself. I thought he had enough time to get there, but not quite. Good deception from Ryan Fitz.
Yeah, it was a casual but good-looking set from Alvino. He just runs right through the traffic, sets it over his shoulder, and Ryan's able to finish.
Oh, great drop shot, defended extremely well, and there's Ryan on that defense. Fitz up, both of them on the ground, however, and Schweppes is going to get a point back.
Yeah, that's those touches we see from Ryan so often where he dives in front of the ball and it goes up, usually to his teammate. Just didn't happen that time.
Actually, Schweppes pocket serve. Another pocket serve. 2 means point for Anchored LI. A 1-point lead, and this stance from Alvino, faking a backhand serve, going across to the right hand of the defender. Fitz chasing another one down, really showing off for everyone. Tries to leap in the air and put that one back on, not quite. Hits the rim, and I believe we're staying tied up here.
Yeah, he did all the hard work. He chased it down, came back to net. A decent set from Alvino, but couldn't pull through on that.
It doesn't seem like the sand is affecting these players at all. I know we talked about how that might factor into this. Not a great touch, but a good defense on Alvino, just throwing it up in the air. A lot of pockets on this one. Putting the right hand, and I think someone wanted to stop that early. They are disagreeing a little bit on what this is. We're going to wait for the official word while they talk this out on the court.
Yeah, my guess, it almost looked like one of them bumped the net, which you can never make contact with the net with any part of your body, and if you do, it's the other team's point. So depending on whether they agree or disagree, it could lead to a redo or a point for Anchored.
I think I like a redo here.
It was a great rally.
It's good for the game, and that's one of those calls where, as far as hitting the net goes, that's something that it's either going to take a lot of honesty, or it's a super judgment call, especially if you barely grazed the thing. I don't want to say it's not fair for anyone to take a point, but I do like a replay.
Yep. And just to note a couple differences about the Pro Division, they will be playing to 21 instead of 15, and they're playing each team in their pool in a series of best of 3. So unlike the divisions we saw earlier, those are the 2 slight differences.
Which I love. It's the first time I've seen it personally at a tournament. I think that it really accentuates the need to steal these pool play games, which is why this game for Schweppes is so important, coming up against an opponent who was slated to do very well in their pool.
Yeah, and that serve from Ryan, I think, goes way too underappreciated, because it is a hard move to do, and he makes it look so easy. Flipping it around his back, hitting it to the opponent's left. It's a pretty crazy move.
I think he takes his eye off the ball and the net, and I don't think I would be able to do either one of those things and still get a serve.
Well, that's why we're back here, Bryce, and they're out there.
You're so right, Sean, and that's great body defense. And again, but Alvino caught that one. Great defense all around. Positioning is phenomenal, but that's going to go the way of Schweppes, and they're rolling.
They are. They're sticking in this. We got anchored up 6-4, so slight lead, but with the games going to 21, it's not as crucial right now to be up.
And on our featured court, we do have a fair amount of seating off to the side here, and this one is drawing in the crowds. This game, I can't explain enough how important this is to both of these teams. You only play 3 matches in your pool play, and the seeding is so important moving forward. So Alvino, serving as hard as possible, gets a pocket there. Going to go back to a second one, and with this 3-point lead, I don't expect them to put their foot on the brake at all.
No, you want, especially because you want point differentials as well going into the seeding. With the Pro Division only being the top 16 teams, the seed's going to be so important, because if you're on the lower half of that 16, you're going to be playing some of the best teams in the country, potentially the reigning national champs. No one wants that in the first round.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't play any of these people because they'd embarrass me. But I think we got a shot of some of our crowd over there really getting together to support each other in the sport of Roundnet. Alvino hitting that one high, a shot we don't see enough with how much up-close defense there is.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that we see within the Pro Division a shot going over the head of someone, because they like to keep it so low, like almost at the kneecaps. But in certain circumstances, when you're reading defense and you catch them in the no man's land, you go right over their head.
Yeah, there's so much that happens in the fraction of a second. Attempted drop shot serve there by Schweppes. The scoreboard's telling me that they actually came through a couple of points in a row and took a lead. There's still a lot of game to go, but Alvino, I love this stance, gives himself a couple of options for serves, which are so important. This one pockets up. It's going to be playable by Schweppes. Unfortunately, they're off the net. He went for a touch on 2. I don't know if Alvino hit that on the first one, but it did not work out for them, and Schweppes is going to take their first 2-point lead.
Yeah, they're looking solid right now, and you might be asking yourself why Alvino is doing a serve like that. It looks harder than if he would just hit it with his dominant right hand, but you're trying to work the ball to your opponent's left hand or their non-dominant to just catch them off guard, hopefully slip it by.
Oh, absolutely. And every time you hit them on their left hand, they're worried about it. They're thinking about it. And then you go back to their right hand, look at all of these fakes from
almost
Fitz.
looks Fitzy's trying to invent dance moves out there, going back and forth, a little head balk back and forth.
Absolutely. Hey, whatever gets the job done. This one coming right back at me. I was ready to make a play. Fitz, these guys have hammers. And you're going to see as the day goes on, there's people that hit even harder than them, surprisingly. If they hit the ball at that low angle and you're not in position, you just do not have a chance on the ball.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I would say this game has been much more finesse. There hasn't been as much power hits that we'll typically see. I don't know if either of these teams are known for those power hits, but as you're mentioning, later in the day, there's some teams that we'll probably be hearing the slaps of the ball.
Yeah, one thing I did notice is this game, a lot of people, I think they're getting a little antsy. They're hitting the ball a little early, and what would normally go off the net and skip low, they're hitting early and maybe getting a little bit too much of the pocket, because we've seen a decent amount of defense, but everything's just floating up in the air for them because of how it's hitting that net.
Yeah, and I did hear that Anchored actually, they dropped their first series. I'm not sure who it was to, but so they're coming into this series and they could really use a win. If they don't win this, they'll be 0-2. I think they'll only have 2 more series to play, and it's just not a good spot to be when you're trying to get a high seed.
No, it's not. It's not good for your confidence moving forward to the bracket play. But you know, it's a veteran move, but I think a lot of these teams have the capability to do it, and no matter what happens in their pool play games, they know that the road in the bracket is beat who's in front of you and just make it happen. So they're keeping this one close. They're definitely looking to take the lead back here, as that first pass was perfect, and a push shot not anticipated by Schweppes goes to the left of them, and Alvino showing his finesse as well.
Yeah, he came in with the big wind-up, made the defense jump, and then shot it right down below him.
You know, there was a point in time where the push shot was low percentage, and now it's a staple in everyone's repertoire. That's great defense by LI. A good confidence boost there as they give an emphatic high five after getting that point back.
That was huge. Fitzy did an amazing job. He used his body. He didn't. It's a very veteran move to jump up and let the ball come off your chest up to your partner, and he performed it to perfection.
Yeah, if there's anything he does really well, it's play defense. That one, there is no defending. Both of them circled around the net, and they still found a gap. There's plenty of them. With 360 degrees of court, there's always a way to find some sort of open space, and Schweppes doing a great job of finding it there.
Yeah, and the teams are trading points right now. It's kind of going back and forth. This is typically what we see in the late stages of the game when it gets tighter in around the 13s, 14s, 15s, and I think that's exactly what we'll see coming in 13-13 here.
Yeah, teams are settling in. Their offense is getting real warm. They're on the featured court. They've got a lot of people watching them. This isn't something that happens at your everyday tournament. I think trading points is going to be a pretty typical thing here, and those teams that can go on a run are probably going to be the teams you're going to see going the latest in the day.
Yeah, and they're filling each other out, you know. Each team's a little different as far as style, and so once you get them down, you're hopefully being able to put up some defensive stands and finish your offensive shots.
Absolutely. The team that makes the adjustment is the team that's going to bid well moving into the bracket. Going for the drop shot again, I don't think that he had one good one. It was defended well, and the other ones didn't go too hot. I think Schweppes sticks to what they know here, and they're going to give them a better run for their money. I'm checking the foot lines again. I know that they're hard to see, but we do have the markers in the sand at 6 feet to make sure that no one's creeping up a little bit too close and faulting on their first serve here.
Yeah, Alvino finds room there. I think he was pushing the limits there, trying to go for an ace, which you'll see a lot in the Pro Division. Serving has become an integral part of the game in the last year or so, which really separates the teams.
Absolutely, yeah. I was lucky enough to speak to a handful of these pro players leading up to the tournament, and that seemed to be the common theme of the thing they wanted to practice the most. It was stay consistent with their setting and maybe add a different serve style or two, because they know that if you can steal 1 or 2 aces with how good everyone's offense is, that might be the only 2 points you get to separate yourself from the other team.
Yeah, a lot of these players, I mean, they've been playing for a long time. The setting and the hitting, that's like almost riding a bike. They've got that down. But it's the serving that's going to separate them, at least on the scoreboard. Incredible up from Ryan, but Anchored was in a really tough spot to even have a play on that, so all we can do is really commend him for getting the ball back on.
Brian did absolutely everything he could, starting with that backhand serve, which was returned perfectly. Couldn't have been done better. And then hitting the ball from below the net with spin high so he can get it on there and have the spin take it off. It's just really showing why some of these guys belong in the Pro Division.
Yeah, and it's those times when that actually works, the other team botches the set or maybe doesn't expect the spin that you put on it, that you really, it's all worthwhile.
I do love that he got it back on the net, and you could see him still laying on the ground. He's like, shoot, I
didn't even expect that.
This thing's actually going to get off, and I think if he was up early enough, his defense is so good, he might have even been there. But always feels good when you make a play like that, whether you get the point or not. It really gives you the confidence in your abilities moving forward. Big high first pass, which you like to see. Give your teammate time. set here, going left hand, another pocket. They didn't communicate very well. Anthony needs to pull Orion and doesn't do it, hits himself in the shoulder, and Schweppes takes a 2-point lead at a very crucial part of the match.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge going into the late stage of this game, because all they need to do now is just trade points up until 21 and they'll walk away with this series.
Yeah, there's a decent chunk of scrambling in that one. Lots of pockets, lots of diving, but both teams remained pretty calm, and it was a good job putting that away. Talking about the rotation, the serving rotation here. Making sure that it's good. Every time you get the point on your serve, you rotate with your partner and serve to the other person on the other team. This is to make sure no one person is picking on one defender the entire game at the same angle all game. I love it. It's been great for the sport, and unfortunately, Rim there, he will not be serving to Ryan after that one. And Anchored LI, they've got some moves to make.
Yeah, if you're Schweppes right now, you just want to play easy 1-2-3 offense, just nothing fancy, get it on the net, put it away, and just trade up until 21. Hopefully it's that simple, at least for them.
Right. It sounds so great out loud, but with the amount of things that go through your head in any given rally, that's great defense by Ryan. It's defense that they need right now.
Yeah, and Alvino's in a good spot to receive that if Ryan gets it off his chest too. It just didn't get up enough.
Absolutely. I love the positioning there across from the partner, knowing that it's going to have to bounce off of his chest. Another veteran move, something you see out of a lot of the players that have played together for a very long time and kind of know what their teammates are capable of on defense.
Schweppes back to serve, hits Rim. So we're trading points, kind of as we talked about, but I don't know if this series is over just yet.
I don't think so. I mean, we know Anchored LI, and we know how hard they've battled all year long to make sure their name is in the conversation at all times. Those are the kind of serves that you need, but unfortunately, it must have hit the front of the rim, which is no good. No plastic at any time on the serves. Great first pass by Alvino, squeaking it right by both defenders, and a ball back at the booth. Great hit, shows the power.
And I think it's worth mentioning, as we talked about earlier, this was the exact same position that Anchored was in 1920, and they got 2 aces to win game 2. If they can do it game 3, it's going to be a miracle.
Oh, and they called a pocket here.
Second serve to Ryan.
This is a very crucial serve. How hard will he serve?
And the series will end on a double pocket. Players giving some I-5s. They played really hard there. We'll be stopping the stream here, and we'll be back in 15 minutes for some more play. Thanks for tuning in. Don't go too far from your computer, for your phone, wherever you may be. And yeah, we'll be back.
We'll catch you here soon.